Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe Podcast. We're a Green Bay Packers fan podcast that brings you topical and relevant Packers news, along with our most humble, subjective opinions. This is episode 275. We're recording this on Wednesday. No, it's not a Wednesday. It's a Thursday, the 20th of June. We'll be covering our predictions for the 53-man roster and some other little tidbits. I'm your host, Tay, and joining me tonight in studio is our one and only with his shades on,
Ren. What up, Tay? You gotta have the shades on when it's the summer solstice. Happy solstice day.
It's
Tay.
right. It's still light out. It's still bright out. Longest day of the year.
Longest day per sunlight.
That's right.
Per the
That's
year,
right.
Tay. So yes, I'm wearing my shades in studio at 8:28.
Yeah.
The sun has not yet set here on the longest day of the year. So how you doing, Tay? It is officially the NFL offseason.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you look at OTAs are completed, mandatory minicamp is completed, and then that concludes the off-season program. There's some terms to it, but now you get into the break between now mandatory minicamp and training camp, which is the start of the off-season, I think, right, or start of the preseason.
Right. This is where our friend Rob
Preseason?
Domofsky says, like, this is finally the end of last season. And then he
Yeah.
gets to leave for a little bit. This is his summer. It's like,
That's
I
true.
got 5
That's
weeks
true.
of summer, and they're going to pack it in there until training camp starts in a little over 4 weeks, Tay. Nuts.
Yeah. This is like the little window that all the players, get to get married in, and the beat writers get to go on vacation and stuff like that. So, live it up. And yeah, we're 1 week into it, right? And we got a few more weeks to go, but this is the perfect opportunity, I think, to, take some wet noodles and throw them on the wall and see if they'll stick.
Sure.
And I mean by that, predict our 53-man roster. 'Cause why not?
The all too early prediction of the 53-man roster, because we're going to get a lot of intel, when training camp starts, to the end of training camp, where some of these UDFAs we may be like, okay, that's a practice squad guy, or whoa, could said guy maybe crack a roster spot. Some of these, outliers, there'll be probably 2-3 that rise up, grab our attention. We go, there's a good shot that we cross off 1 or 2 of these 53, and it's one of these other guys. So that's why it's always way too early. And then that's why we garner so much additional information come camp. And that's why it's fun, but it's fun to do this because it is the dead time of the year. Up front though, Ted, before we do that,
Let's get some tidbits.
The tidbits. And that is, hey, it is the off season.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a lot of kicker movement happening in and around the Green Bay Packers, Tay.
Yeah.
So they were sniffing around the all UFL kicker, Jake Bates. This man made multiple 60-yard field goals during the UFL season. He connected on 17 of 22 field goals. And the Packers brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to Detroit and says,
get out.
no, I'm good. Signs with the Lions. The Packers then release Jake Podlesny out of Georgia.
Yeah.
And then they go, well, the Lions don't want their guy. And now the Packers bring in the former Lions kicker to also compete in camp. So while they only had 1 for a moment, now they're back to 3 with taking James Turner off of waivers from Detroit.
Jeez.
So
this is
hot
like
and heavy, Tay,
this
on
is
the kicker
seriousness.
carousel in Green Bay. It is still not a given that Anders is just going to be handed the job, although we know he's probably going to be handed the job.
That sounds like a like C or B movie drama that they could post on NFL Network or something. The kicker situation, it's not like front and center news with like a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver. This is kicker stuff, man. This we're taking yours. Okay, we'll give you. We're swiping and taking the guy you wanted. Here's the scraps you can pick up. But I don't know. I mean, of course, this is good for the Packers to bring in competition for Anders. But like we've said in other episodes, Ren, I think it's a foregone conclusion it's going to be Anders. They're going to stick with this kid. I know Rich loves him. So unless something bad happens, I mean, they in this mandatory minicamp that took place last week, like Anders didn't do terrible.
No,
Like,
he outkicked the competition. Podlesny was definitely the worst of the three, so obviously
yeah.
out the door he goes. And they have Joseph essentially signed to a 1-year deal, which will give him money in training camp, but there's no guaranteed money during the course of the season. So now they've got a third guy back in the room, and James Turner to keep the pressure on Anders. Keep him kicking, make him earn it.
Yep.
But yeah, why would you give up on a kid you just drafted the year prior? There's been all that talk with what Mason looked like with his field goal kicking percentages his first 4 or 5 years in the NFL. Not the best either. But hey, again, he ended up being a 16-year starter in Green Bay. So
I get it.
Sometimes you just got to stick with it. And this guy might be a guy someday your wife buys the jersey of.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're going to be paying attention to the kickers in training camp. It's going to be fun because it's obviously one of the skill positions that you can kind of like say like, ooh, okay, let's see what they do here. They didn't do anything last year. The front office didn't about the kicker situation, but now you can at least like go through training camp thinking there's a possibility of someone overtaking Carlson.
Anderson Carlson. This is really the offseason, Tay. You're good at this stuff, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, that you're right. That's the kicking carousel. That was the kicker drama.
Well, speaking of more drama, Tay, your man, the Shefty, Adam Schefter, joined ESPN Milwaukee yesterday and shared an important update comparing Love's situation to the contract of Trevor Lawrence that was recently given out in Jacksonville. He goes on to say, Tay, that because the average comes in at $55 million, he doesn't believe Jordan Love is taking less and just don't think he's going to do it. And it's probably brought the Packers' ire up in the front office a little bit. That contract, Tay, for Lawrence was $275 million over 5 years, $200 million in practical guaranteed money. Again, that amounts to $55 million a year. So his deal is for 7 years through the 2030 season. And over the total, if he ends up playing the whole thing, a $306 million total value, including the 24 and 25 seasons, which are a little bit under that at $43.7 million per year. So now that deal got done, Tay, yes, and a few weeks back, Goff gets on average $53 million a year with a bunch of guaranteed money. Yeah, this thing's not coming in under 55. Probably going to set the market at 56 with a little bit more guaranteed money than Mr. Lawrence. Now, I know you want this thing to happen for 45 and you're living in a world that happened 4 years ago in terms of NFL quarterback money, Tay. This stuff gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And yes, the money gets bigger and bigger. And there's some big jumps to hit the salary cap over the next 3 to 5 years in the NFL. So like many people talk about, you get the 56 done, Tay. In 4 years, it's a bargain. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles with these NFL quarterback deals. There is no way around it. And if Jordan Love's progression is linear, it's not going to be a problem anyway. He's a young guy who has a super talented roster and easily by the end of that deal could have a chip or two under his belt if he continues the progression we believe he can.
So you just explained to me the facts of the situation. You just painted a picture of what the reality in the NFL is. You never said anything about what you would do, what you want out of this. I guess I'd throw that back at you. I don't want $56 million a year for Jordan Love. 45. That sounds great to me. And you look at Goff, you look at Trevor Lawrence. Those guys have been in the league for a while. They've been starters for a while. That's why they got the money. Why would you give 56 per year to a guy that just played one season for you? Yeah, he's been on the team for 4 years, and it's nothing to do with Jordan. Honestly, it hasn't. You just look at the games played, Look at how old they are. Look at how long they've been with the team. And it doesn't make sense to give him the top dollar. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. We all want Jordan to be that guy 5 years from now. And then all of a sudden, yeah, we got a, like a Adams kind of contract here. And where we you got him in before he got really good, and then you can ride out
when the
this
deals
contract.
are 65 now.
And anyway, I mean, besides the bloated
quarterback money,
it's out of hand. They need to put a cap on that. That's going to destroy teams. It's going to destroy
bandied
everything.
About amongst the owners. Should they consider a cap to quarterback deals?
Absolutely, because you're one-upping everybody for no good reason. Why would you one-up yourself with Jordan? Give him 56. But tell me that. Like, why would you give him more than Goff, who clearly has deserved it, right? Like, the Lions need that guy. It's not like they, just drafted him. He's been around a while. He was traded from the Rams. They almost went to the Super Bowl.
Resurrected his career. I get it.
So that man deserves it. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is in that category of deserving it because he's been with that team. He's
won one playoff game, Tate. That's as many as who?
True, I know.
Jordan Love.
I will say that to me, that Jacksonville deal with Trevor Lawrence, like, he's not going to complete that. He will not complete that. Obviously, that's based on success.
I don't think he's lived up to the expectations of the number one pick overall.
No, and that's why I believe
the same year Love was taken.
It's a knee-jerk reaction. You got to cement this quarterback. We got to give him the money, extend him now. We're super afraid to lose a good quarterback, and that's just it. A lot of these quarterbacks that are getting these deals are not great. They're just good. And right now, you have to classify Jordan as just good. Like, is he great? Is he great? So tell me, what do you want?
Based on that, week 9, they're further through the rest of last season. Okay. Would you argue the quarterbacks we were just talking about? Let's use them. The two aforementioned guys. You got Goff. You got Trevor Lawrence. Which one do you think has the most upside and the most potential to win championships?
You would have to say Jordan Love, but why would you give him all the money for a position that he hasn't really earned yet?
Because that's the way of things. That's the way of things, and that's the position they put themselves.
What do you think? What do you want them to do? What do you think is the right thing for them to do?
I just want the contract to get done in the next couple weeks, so we don't have to talk about it. And
you want to overpay?
To me, I don't love the fact that they have to set the market, but that's where they're at.
It's reality, so they must do it. They're going to have to do it.
Yes, they're going to have to do it, and you just have to accept that as the reality. Would I like to see Jordan, take a team-friendly $48, $49 million deal? Of course. But his agent is never going to allow him to do that.
Yeah.
So the reality is,
right. You're exactly right.
56 is happening.
And then but to me, you get Shefties out there that are using their opinions to
stir the pot.
To stir the pot. They're using their opinions. I guarantee he doesn't know that there's a hard line for Jordan and his agent. 55, nothing less, or he's walking. He's not like that. It's not like that. That is just to stir the pot. I don't believe that for a second. So yeah, I think it's the wrong decision to give these huge contracts to these quarterbacks that particularly some don't deserve. And I'm all for the capping, because this is going to hurt teams when it's 65 million, Ren, like you said, 75 million in 5 years. What are you doing with your total budget? Is like a quarter of it is on your quarterback? It's like, that's not gonna help
right now
anybody.
For the Bengals. Essentially, it is a quarter is on their quarterback.
It's disgusting.
It's nutty. Yeah.
So I want them to get it done too. Like, I do want it to get it done, and unfortunately, it's going to be some high number, and I will be shocked if it's under 50. Absolutely floored. Happy as hell, but super floored.
Yep, we're going to get to talk about it sooner rather than later, I'm pretty sure, Tay. Last anecdote I've got for you today on the nuts and bolts call here today, Tay, is Mr. Bakhtiari sat down with Adam Schefter and had a conversation.
Classic.
And a lot of that was, where he's at said, paraphrasing, but finally the last surgery, it really feels good. He probably is ready to go into a training camp, hopes to play a couple more years. One of his things was asked about playing for the Jets the way, and playing for the Packers, and he sees Aaron and Jordan both making the playoffs this year. Obviously expects big things out of Aaron, he said, out in New York, because Aaron certainly didn't have the opportunity to prove that last year. And when he's got a fire lit under him, he knows what Aaron can do. He was asked by Schefter about would he potentially ever end up back in Green Bay, because he said, hey, he would like to play again a couple more years.
Yeah. What did he say to that?
He said, in the most Bakhtiari sort of way, I would never say never, Bakhtiari told Schefter. If they wanted to protect Jordan, they wouldn't have fired me. So just a couple anecdotes.
Nice.
David he's always got a nice zinger in there, and a little bit tongue in cheek, but always, it's funny, but it's also like,
it's true.
True. It's like,
there's a little truth.
Good stuff. What are your thoughts? Would you, consider a David Bakhtiari reunion, Tay?
I loved David when he was on the field for the Packers. Great. And he was for a long while, he was great person to have in the locker room, a great spokesperson for the team, for the whole group up there. That was great. Loved it. He is a great player, and I wish him best. I hope, because no one's knocking on his door right now. And I think he alluded to the fact that once I finally get clear myself, I'm good to go. I'm saying I'm 100%. Then he says things will start heating up, and he'll maybe get some offers from teams. Of course, there are always teams looking for tackles, right? Especially left tackles. I think he will land somewhere. I hope he lands somewhere that has a chance to get him a ring, honestly. Wait till the end of the season to see who needs help.
Right. Who sustained an injury in training camp. And
it's either that or you
drive out the price that way too.
You do that, or go to the Jets. Just do it.
They basically, the way they brought in guys in the offseason to fill the positions and drafted a guy in the first round, he's not going to end up in New York. Not happening.
So if you're asking me, do I want David Bakhtiari back in Green Bay, I would say no.
I would say no as well, Tay, only because I think Rasheed Walker at this point is more effective at the left side. I think Jordan Morgan will be a guy who takes some time to develop, and that's okay. And he even had a comment about Jordan. Somebody tweeted something, and he tweeted back at him. He's like, it's not a concern until the pads come on. Even then, basically paraphrasing it takes some time. So it wouldn't concern me at this point, because Jordan Morgan was a lot of people's lowest rated rookie of the offseason. Yeah. So he's kind of swimming out there, but they also played him nearly at every position. I think they played him at 4 to 5 positions throughout OTAs and mini camps. So
give him some looks.
He's got a lot to learn. He's got to put his head in the book, as Matt said, and he's got to put a lot of work in.
So to finish up with David, no, I don't really want him back here. I guess the only scenario I can see it is if injuries just decimated. This is not this year, by the way. In next year or the year after, if David's still playing and he's uninjured, and our offensive line got decimated, we need somebody, and he's available. Sure, bring him back for a year, one more season, retire a Packer, come back after. But right now it's too hot. The drama is too hot still. Yeah. He's not the person you want to be in your locker room. He's a definite, in terms of that, he's an outsider. He's not one of the guys anymore. I'm sorry.
He's got a lot of boys on that line, though. He likes those guys.
He does, but I just feel like it doesn't fit right now. It would fit later if we needed him, and he was like, all right, yeah, okay, it's enough time has passed. I'll come back and help finish up the season for you. Maybe we'll go to the playoffs, but it's the only scenario. I heard
him say nice things about Jordan too. He likes his strong yet quiet leadership, stuff like that.
Right.
So
he'll say everything right. He's looking for a job.
Yeah, true.
You can't totally bash your former team.
No,
and
you want to come back there in future years for whatever reason. So I thought it was an interesting anecdote. I like the way he put the words to that at the end, but kind of funny. Well, yeah, David, you do get fired because you were getting paid way too much money, and we don't know if you can play or not.
Right.
So Packers could save $20 million, David. So they had to save $20 million.
Nobody really knows if you can play, David, yet. All right, Ron, let's get on to our featured content here. 53-man roster. I was going through my roster and I was like, oh, this is going to be easy.
I saw some of yours. I'm like, geez.
Well, okay, so
really, that guy? You're cutting that guy?
When you start to go, and I would suggest everyone on Packer Universe, go do this for yourself.
It's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
But you literally have to select just 53, and that's hard because you want to include everybody that's on the roster right now. At least some of these guys. But all of a sudden you're like,
I mean, I didn't feel bad not keeping Royce Newman on my team.
What I'm saying is I think that it's harder than it seems and harder than you would think it would be. And now you got to start choosing between guys that you want and guys you can't let go. And
right. Well, you
hard.
saw me. I was here with you. I got down to like 6 guys, 6 available roster spots. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, well, do I? Don't I? Will I? Won't I? Is Tyler Davis making my roster? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But inevitably, yeah, it's a harder thing to do and literally put pen to paper than people would guess.
And so every year when we do get the 53-man roster from the Packers from Brian Gutekunst, there's always a couple guys where you're like, whoa, they did that? They cut that guy.
Yep.
Or they kept that guy? Holy crap. Like insane. There's always going to be that. So there'll probably be some of that in our rosters, but I think like I thoroughly went through my thought process, at least right now, and I have reasons for that. But let's go through each position quick. We won't spend a whole lot of time, just like here, like quick hits on why you think that. So let's go offense first, Ren. Obviously, I'm keeping Jordan Love. There's no competition for QB1 here. We're talking QB2. And
I think this one will be. We talked last week, about what to look forward to in training camp. This is definitely one we didn't mention, but this is one of the big ones that'll be fun to watch come training camp.
Because it does matter.
The big red dog versus the rook, Michael Pratt.
Yep.
Who gets that second spot? Because I don't think they're keeping 3. I think one's on the practice squad potentially,
right?
But I don't think they're keeping 3.
I agree with you. You only keep 2, and you keep 1 on the practice squad. So I am keeping Sean Clifford, makes the roster. He's number 2. Michael Pratt goes to the practice squad. I think that in that scenario, to me, that makes. I don't think they want to lose either of them, right? So do you send Clifford or Pratt to the practice squad in fear that someone gets taken? And I guess like Sean's been in the system for a year now. That's why I think, and I have to see more of Michael Pratt. I have not seen much of him.
That's why we're going to see this battle, and it's going to be fun.
But I'm guessing now.
And you're going to change your mind.
I'm guessing right now it's Sean's making the team. Michael Pratt's on the practice squad.
Obviously, Jordan, QB1, Tay, as you mentioned. I have Michael Pratt as the 2.
All right.
Couple reasons behind that. He's got the live arm. They stole him in the 7th round, Tay. This is a guy that easily could be drafted in the 3rd round of this past draft. He's got a higher upside than Sean Clifford. I know when LaFleur talked about him, his head's swimming a little bit. He's drinking from a fire hose kind of thing. But I think it's much easier to get Clifford onto the practice squad than a guy who, if he has a average to anywhere above average training camp, where they got him, somebody'd snap him up.
Yeah.
And so I think Clifford's a system guy. You can have him on your practice squad. That's one of my 16 practice squad players is Sean Clifford.
Okay. Running backs. Obviously, we know Josh Jacobs is making the team. He's RB1. And I'm going to go out there and say Marshawn Lloyd's on the team. He's got to. It's the rookie.
Dude, he's balling. He's going to ball out, Tay. So you're not going out on a limb. He's on the team. He's like easily number 2 and going to be doing some wild stuff in 2024.
Those 2 are locked in. I think they keep A.J. Dillon on the 53-man roster for injury purposes and just to see how it goes. But also I think further down our list is fullback Henry Pearson. He is gone. Maybe they put him on practice squad, but A.J. Dillon is there to do that if they need a fullback blocker. He's the guy. And I think, you could bring in Tyler Davis or some sort of tight end for that position. But I really think if you're going to keep A.J. Dillon, you're going to use him any way you want. And it could be very advantageous for us to use him as a blocker. I think they keep A.J. Dillon on the roster.
So with the running back position, I kept, obviously, Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, easy stuff day. I also kept A.J. Dillon on my roster. Emmanuel Wilson joins my practice squad as one of 16 guys.
Same.
And with one of my final roster spots. I liked a few things out of Henry Pearson last year. Henry Pearson, the fullback, makes my 53 Tay.
Dang, is that special teams aspect too? Or?
No, just the overall
Offense?
extra little element he brings in a few looks throughout the course of the season.
That's a surprise to me. That will be noted as a surprise, Ren. All right, let's move on to wide receivers. Obviously, we both would agree with Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. And
all four, yes, I agree.
And I've got Bo Melton there.
Agree.
And then now I think it comes into like, do you keep 6? And if you do, you got a choice to make. I don't think they're keeping 7. They just have a plethora of wide receivers that can come in. You put a few in the practice squad, you're fine interchanging them out.
I went 6 though.
So I did too. I made Grant DeBose the 6th guy.
He did not make mine. Malik Heath was my 6th. He was one of my last guys to make the 53. Grant DuBose and Samori Toure are 2 of my practice squad guys.
Right on. I don't even think Samori Toure makes the practice squad, to be honest. I think they would rather put DeBose or Heath on if they don't make the roster. And
Alex Magoo.
I don't know what that guy's doing. That's just...
But he's just lucky to be getting football time at this point.
He's lucky to have a contract, anything with the Packers. I don't... You demoted him. You took him away from being a quarterback. Did he want to do that? And you're putting him in a wide receiver room that's overcrowded. It's strange.
With way too much talent. So
tight end, obviously Musgrave, Kraft are there. I think you have a choice if you're going to pick 4 or you're going to pick 3, and what that 3-4 would be. I'm keeping 3. Tyler Davis is my 3rd.
Obviously, Luke and Tucker are pretty easy, Tay. I liked what I saw to Ben Sims last year. I think he came up with a couple big catches at a couple really needed moments. Obviously, Tyler Davis is and has been the special teams defense ace. He was my 53rd guy, so I kept 4. Nice. Tay.
Wow, yeah, even Sims. I got Sims on the practice squad. Offensive line, I'm keeping 9. Most of the time they keep 10. That's been historically what's happened in the past several years.
I also have 9, but I was like, they're going to keep 10. But for now, I have 9.
I've got, obviously, the starters, Walker, Jenkins, Myers, Ryan, and Tom. I have Dillard on there just because he's a vet, and he can come in there for you if there's an injury, and maybe even he can get some starts. I am keeping Jordan Morgan and Jacob Monk because of their youngness. They don't want to release those people. And I think they're up and coming, and they could not necessarily see starts, but they could come in as a pinch hitter and just take a spot up and get some experience under their belt. And I have Royce Newman on as a starter. Not starter, as making the 53, just because of his he's got experience, and there's always an injury on the offensive line, Ren. There always is.
Of course, but he's not on my roster today. Rasheed Walker is, Elton Jenkins is, Josh Myers is for 24, Sean Ryan, Zach Tom. Obviously, Jordan Morgan's making the roster. Jacob Monk's making the roster. I kept Travis Glover as well.
Ooh, okay.
And Luke Tenuta, who I like as well.
Okay.
My practice squad guys, the Caleb Jones experiment now hits the practice squad, along with Kadeem Telfort, who could be your 10th as well. I just see Travis as kind of the new Caleb, and they hopefully keep Caleb on the P squad.
Yeah. I put Glover, Jones, and Tenuta on the practice squad. I like a lot of these young offensive lineman players, so I think we got a lot to choose from. Special teams quick. Obviously Anders Carlson is my kicker. Daniel Whelan is my punter, and then I have Peter Bowden as the long snapper.
Yeah. Danny Whalen is he's got that on lockdown.
Whalen.
And Anders, he's gonna win it. Yep, you don't give up that early. And I go with Peter as well, replacing Matt Orzich at the long snapper position.
Let's switch to the side of the defense. Ren, defensive line. I'm keeping 5. I kind of toyed with this between 6, but I eventually got to make some decisions here. I've got Clark, Wyatt, Wooden, Brooks, and Ford. TJ Slayton, I don't think would end up on the practice squad and stay there, but he's hopefully on my practice squad. That was tough. It's like TJ. It's like
TJ's good, dude. He's making the roster. When I saw you do that, I was like, what?
I know.
Over Jonathan Ford, who's just big? No, Clark, Wyatt, Wooden, Brooks, Tay, TJ Slayton are my 5.
Okay.
Jonathan Ford, practice squad player. Aaron Mosby, practice squad player. That's where I ended up there.
Okay. I know it's a tough decision. That one and who goes to the practice squad and actually stays there is another question as well. Let's move over to cornerbacks. Ren, I only have 5 there too. Alexander, Ballantyne, Stokes is making the roster for me, and Nixon. This one was hard because Kalen King's a rookie, and it's like he's had such a good story, and we all heard so many good things about him, but I just think that he makes the practice squad. Same with Rochelle. I think they keep 2 cornerbacks on the practice squad to come in if need be.
Yeah, I kept the same 5, Tay, and Alexander, Ballantyne, Stokes, and Nixon. Kalen, yes, to the practice squad he goes, along with Rochelle, and I put Jim and Green on there as well because I needed to fill a practice squad roster spot.
Okay, well, we'll continue back to the safeties, and we'll come back around to the linebackers. But obviously, Xavier McKinney is going to start, and then it's kind of up in the air who's going to be opposite him. And I think this room was remade this year, so in my mind, I think they keep all 3 rookies to kind of see what's happening even during this season. So you keep Anthony Johnson Jr., obviously the veteran now, and then you keep the 3 rookies, Bullard, Williams, and Oladopa. And
it ends with an O, Tay. Just to Keaton's last name ends with an O.
Oladapo. Okay, so I've got 5. What do you got?
I got the same 5 in McKinney, Johnson Jr., Bullard, Williams, and Oladapo, Tay. And then Zane Anderson and Benny Sapp III are on my practice squad.
Same. All right, let's go to the inside linebacker, off-ball linebacker, MLB. I've got 4 only, and I've got Walker, McDuffie, Wilson, and Cooper. I have Hopper going on the practice squad, hopefully. And, I don't know. I think they could get someone off of waivers, off of free agency to, if injuries somehow take a toll, to pick up some other people for that position. But I've only got 4 on the roster.
I kept 5 here, Tay, in Walker, McDuffie, Wilson, Cooper, and Hopper. And then Goforth and Welch hit my practice squad with regard to the linebackers. Wow. Yes.
All right. Outside rushers. We've got Luke Van Ness, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Kingsley, and Igbare. Those are locks. Those are 4. Those are all I'm keeping. This was the other tough one. It's like you only have 53, so you have to like pick and choose what positions to you are most important. Yes, rushers are most important, so hopefully Brenton Cox Jr. can go to the practice squad and stay there. I don't know if that's likely, but that was the decision I made. And I don't know. You have to remove someone else to keep Cox Jr. on the 53-man roster. So what do you do? It's a decision you have to make. And right now, that was my kind of upset.
Well, yeah. I mean, universe. He cut TJ Slayton already, and now Brenton Cox Jr. Junior. Anyway, no, yeah. Van Ness, Smith, Gary, Enigbare, and Brenton Cox Jr. make my roster with Kenneth Odumegwu on my practice squad. He's a freebie. And Chauncey Rivers is another practice squad member.
That's right. Kenneth can be a free duder to keep on.
Yeah, he's your 17th practice squad member.
Hopefully they, the indications are true that he is progressing and he's doing decently to be on even the practice squad. It's like you said, it's a free spot, but still, it's like you hope the kid, maybe makes a roster someday. That'd be a great story.
That would be the story, for sure.
Well, I will try to form my list and Ren's list and put it up on our website for you guys to check. And obviously, we're going to come back to this because, what is that? Right before
they head to Sao Paulo, Tay.
Right before Labor Day,
we'll get to revisit all the stupid crap you said.
Yep.
And revitalize our practice squad and 53-man
Yeah,
roster.
you watch. They'll keep 2 tight ends only. Yeah.
I mean, I doubt it, Tay. One of those 2 guys is I lock, but TJ Slayton and Brenton Cox Jr., Tay, they ain't going anywhere.
I know, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, obviously you would get rid of Ford and
You have Royce Newman on your roster. There's one spot. So and Jonathan Ford.
That's the 2 spots right
Jonathan
there.
Ford, he big, but not much else to say about him.
We will see. We will see. Well, thanks, Ren. That was a good exercise and fun, and we'll obviously circle back to that in a couple months. Ren, the schedule was released for training camp, and initially it was empty. It was like TBD, and I was like, okay, great. But just today, the day we're recording, Thursday here, they released the times, and it's basically 10:30 for every one of them. All the ones in yellow on that monthly schedule are ones that you can attend. We'll see if that comes true too. But to your point, they went with 16 available days instead of 13 or 12.
13 last year, 12 the year prior.
Yeah,
I initially
that.
tweeted up from 12 last year, but 12 was the year before.
Yeah.
But it seemed like this thing was on a trajectory just to decrease in number every year, and you're like, come on. Yeah. But it was a nice surprise. 16 when I read it, I was like, what? Mm-hmm. Whoa, we're getting back into this old school thing. I love it. So again, that was a really nice surprise. Obviously, one of those 16 is family night. So technically 15 practices you can attend, one of which is a joint practice, the last one of the year on the 22nd of August with the Baltimore Ravens. They are all at, other than family night, 10:30 a.m. Obviously, barring rain, sometimes those things get washed out and then you lose one of those dates. But it's nice to have that many on the calendar, starting on Monday, July 22nd, and the last one a month later on Thursday, August the 22nd.
Right on. I can't wait. I'm excited. We are thinking about the dates that we are going to target.
Yes, plan your summer accordingly, people, because next thing you know, it's going to be fall. And like I said, for all those that know the schedule, just be leery of your Packer fanatic friends at work that come down with a little sniffle and then, oh, they're not there on Tuesday, July 30th? They were just fine yesterday on Monday. They're coughing a little bit at the end of the day.
It's carry the G syndrome.
Yeah, it happens. And, Ronnie didn't make it to work on Tuesday and suddenly comes back in Wednesday feeling great with a little bit of a tan. I don't know what's going on, Ronnie. What's going? So,
nice.
Tay, it's I always look forward to the release of the training camp schedule. I know you and I already kind of circled a couple dates where we can get up to Lambeau and have a little fun, taking in the festivities. It's always a great time.
Yeah, you got to attend at least one, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. And while you and I are up there, we'll probably record an episode, take some video, do some stuff up there. So
eat some food, have a burr.
Love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that wraps it up for this episode, Ren. Appreciate you coming in the studio tonight and doing this 53-man roster exercise. Let's wrap this up. And I just want to say thank you for listening to the Packer Universe podcast. Thanks everyone out there for supporting us and subscribing. If you haven't, please do so. Tell a friend. That would be amazing. And look for more video episodes to come in the future.
Until episode 276, Tay, on the pup list.